Welcome, and thanks for listening to Intrinsic Investigations. My name is Mr. Olivo, and I created this podcast because I've been fortunate enough over the last decade to see unique and thought-provoking projects happen in my classroom, and we wanted a place to showcase them. The true heart of this podcast lies not in the content discovered, but in exploring the personal stories of these young researchers as they journey through uncharted and unfamiliar intellectual terrain. By sharing their stories, we hope to normalize the challenges and frustrations that come with independent research, and also share those moments where students transcend the normal grind of the school day to discover concepts that range from the global to deeply personal. We will begin with a brief introduction to the student of focus, why they picked their topic, and discuss their growth over the course of the last year. It should be mentioned that the opinions expressed in this podcast in no way reflect the opinions of our school district, Bergen County Technical Schools and Special Services, or our school itself, Bergen County Technical High School, Teterboro, or the College Board. The work detailed in this podcast was most likely completed in AP Capstone, but this podcast is in no way affiliated with the College Board. We're going to shift gears from Brandy Melville in the last episode and their Instagram page to, I guess, the role of AI in healthcare. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the role of AI in radiologist displacement.
All right. Do you want to introduce yourself? Because now, tell the people who you are before we get into this topic.
So my name is Polina, and I'm a junior in AP Research at Bergen County Technical High School.
What do you do other than being a student? What are your interests beyond that?
I draw, and I play volleyball.
Okay. Do you draw people playing volleyball, or that hasn't happened yet? You've never combined those two interests? All right, great. Your topic, in a nutshell, for the people, what is it about before we get into the details of it?
Well, I feel like with the rise of AI, there's a lot of tech figures saying that job displacement might be inevitable. And my topic focuses on the area of radiologists, and if radiologists are going to be displaced by AI, or what kind of consequences might that be there for radiologists.
Do you anticipate being a radiologist? Is this something very, very close to you in that capacity, or do you?
I'm thinking about going into oncology or something biotechnical in the oncology area.
Okay, so this is, for you, this could have depending on what you find, this is personal to you now, but it could have consequences
in the long term,
later in the
it's
future.
If I should go in this field, seeing if AI might potentially take over this area.
All right, so spoiler alert before we get to the...
It probably wouldn't.
It probably wouldn't. That's what I was just going to ask, would it impact it? But no, you're probably going to pursue it. All right, great. Why did you pick this topic? Is it because of that future interest, or were there any things that you were noticing now that kind of steered you in this direction?
Well, at first, I was very interested by the topic of job displacement because AI is something very new in our society, and people like Elon Musk are saying that in a couple of years, you shouldn't become a doctor because AI is going to take over that. And I wanted to find out if that was actually the case. And because the way that AI functions, it does next word or next image prediction. And in mammography and breast cancer, a radiologist has to detect one of those images, and technically AI could do that for the radiologist. So putting those two areas together, it's kind of the perfect combination for AI to take over that role, so that's what I decided to look into.
You've mentioned this Musk tweet, so it was specifically about radiologists being...
displaced.
Did he use the term displaced or replaced?
He said replaced, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure if he was talking exactly about radiologists or doctors as a whole, but he was basically saying that you shouldn't become a doctor anymore because AI will take over your job.
That's pretty... Well, that's... I suppose automation's been a threat for every career. I guess it's just the type of careers that automation is now a threat for.
Yeah. I feel like with that area, it causes a lot of issues for people that want to go in that field, and they might feel scared to pursue their careers because of those bold claims. However, if you do look at those tweets, it's kind of just a claim in itself. There's no evidence behind it, and essentially what my research does is it puts evidence behind those claims to see if they're accurate or not.
Well, yeah, as you said, it's just a claim.
Yeah.
He cited no evidence. I don't know that an ex post is really where you go for a well-reasoned argument, although I'm sure there would be people who would take offense to that and probably ex post about how I'm a loser for thinking that. But yes, there's no evidence provided and really the only support for the claim is that you have a person who has, well, in his case, he's helping develop an AI platform like Grok, and he's involved in the tech industry.
Yeah, he's a very prominent figure, and he has done a lot for our society, whether it's good or bad. I feel like he has done a lot, so just listening to those claims, I feel like some people may agree or disagree with him just because of his popular figure.
Yeah, he's an impactful character. He's way more impactful than either you or I at this point.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know what's in in store for Polina in the future. All right, so you got that tweet. What did the literature say about this problem with radiologists and or AI displacement, I guess, in general, before you started doing your integrative review that we'll get into?
When I was just reading my sources, none of the actual evidence focused about how AI works in a technical setting mixed with how humans interpret AI or how they trust it or how it actually works in a real clinical hospital. There's just those three main categories, and they're all scattered around each other, but there's no main cohesive argument between it. So just reading those chunks, I could see that there is some sort of gap in between where AI works really good in the tech area, just in a controlled setting. So people like Elon Musk might say, look at the tech field, it's working pretty well, so that means it could work in a real hospital. And then with interviews, radiologist interviews with papers that I read those, they said that only around 40% of radiologists would trust an AI system if it didn't give them some sort of feedback on how it came to the conclusion. And then in the real world hospitals, where it's an actual clinical trial, AI fails most of the time because of different systems of where AI works, or if the images are a little bit blurry, the AI isn't going to detect a cancer the same way.
Yeah, it creates noise, I'm assuming, in its accuracy of diagnosis.
Yeah, that's called visual noise. So the AI isn't able to detect it.
So your method that you selected to try to understand this, you want to explain what it is, what it's called?
Yeah, so it's called an integrative review. I feel like it's not very known. When I was looking into what type of method I should be doing, I was looking into a content analysis or a meta-analysis. But my work is mostly qualitative and not that quantitative. So because of that, I did have to take an integrated review. I was about to choose a meta-analysis, but then I would only have to focus on the quantitative hospital data and look only at the numbers, and then I wouldn't be able to look into the human perspective of it. So an integrated review kind of just combined all of those perspectives together.
How does an integrative review start? What's the first step? What do you got to do?
So the first step is I read a lot of papers, and all of the data that...
Give me numbers here.
Okay.
What's a lot of papers?
So the amount of papers that I think I read in total was probably around 40 to 50, just in the area of AI in breast cancer. And then
these are peer-reviewed?
These are peer-reviewed papers that don't have any bias, and they were published between 2019 and 2026 to have some sort of time. And the reason I chose 2019 was because that's when the whole AI and healthcare started to erupt in a way, and people actually decided to see if AI could be integrated into clinical settings. And 2026, that's the year today, so it's still an ongoing issue.
Well, yeah, the 2023, I guess, is that inflection point where it just with ChatGPT-3 being rolled out, I can remember October of that year because a student came up to me and he goes, "I think you need to see this." I remember that moment. So I guess that's a big point. So you have studies prior to that moment.
Yeah.
And then you have papers prior to that moment, and you have papers after that moment.
Yeah. And then I was reading over those papers, and I used a 3-step coding process. So at first I just read all of the papers in its entirety and saw which fit to my research. The ones that were just not fully accurate, I just threw those away, or those that didn't have a concrete author or not like a PhD professor, like a PhD student, I didn't really use those studies. And then after that, I read it a second time to see what code words popped up in the studies most frequently. And the third time I read it is where I actually saw like the three themes emerge between the actual hospitals, the technical perspective, and how people viewed AI. So those were the three themes that I decided to focus on. So it's kind of taking a very large amount of data and putting it into kind of like a funnel to extract only the relevant data needed for my project.
And how many studies ended up meeting your criteria in the end?
14. I was going to go for 16 at first, but then two of the studies, they actually were from 2018, and I noticed that the models of AI that they used was not as relevant to today, so I decided to not utilize those sources.
Okay. You had those three components. It was the hospital, the technical perspectives, and what was the last one?
Human perception.
Okay. Who are the humans who are perceiving this?
The radiologists and the people that are going to get treated. So the women in the studies.
So it's those people.
Yeah.
So it's the people providing the care and the people who are in need of the care.
Yes, while I didn't write too much about the actual patients, I talked about how patients may perceive using AI or like having AI used on them. And in some of the studies, patients were very against AI trying to detect them, even if AI acted as a double or triple checker. They just wanted to avoid it.
Out of curiosity, what does that look like? Would it be almost a box you could check that would be, hey, we have this
clinical trial?
Yeah, it would be a clinical trial.
Yeah.
So it's like we have this this mammography imagery from this mammogram, and we are gonna have a human being check it. If you're down, like, you consent to AI checking this as well, and then they asked them how they felt about that?
Yes, that was in one of the studies that I read, but I feel like if I wanted to focus more on the people, I should have read more studies about that, but It was mostly about the radiologists. There was just that one instance where people were being focused on.
What did the radiologists think? Or what does it seem from these papers that are the consensus of the radiologists? It
really depends on the level of skill of the radiologist, because there's radiologists that are just fresh out of college. They have only 3 years of experience. And then the radiologists that have been detecting mammograms for 20 plus years. And their skill level is very, very different. For example, the radiologists that are already in the area working for 20 years, they can probably detect an image by themselves and be fine with it. But with younger radiologists, they need a double or triple checker to make sure that they properly analyze the image.
And those double or triple checkers are typically human beings?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially for complex cases, those senior radiologists still need a double check to see if there's some sort of agreement between the scans. Mm-hmm. And if they kind of just bring in more radiologists until everyone forms a cohesive understanding of what tumor is relevant or not.
Okay. Is the AI then in these studies being almost inserted as as one of those checkers?
Yeah.
Like it saves the bandwidth of another human being. It's like, all right, so there's a double checker who's a human, and mm-hmm. then there's also this AI, or I guess maybe the double checker's the AI, and then the triple checker's the human in the end? Like, who's at the end of the pipeline making the call? I'm assuming a human.
Actually, no. In some studies that I read, it's either the human is the triple checker or the AI is the triple checker. So if two radiologists are at a disagreement, then the AI would act as a triple checker to see which agreement is better, or like which radiologist had the best choice. But in my opinion, I feel like that's a little bit more dangerous for the patient, especially if the AI is going to be wrong in that case.
Is the final check.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like a human should always be the final check.
Is that what I guess, like, what did the sources reveal in those themes about the humans who were part of these processes?
Well, the people that were reviewing it, AI actually has a pretty high percentage of accuracy, mm-hmm. where in controlled settings, it's 99% accuracy. In real hospital settings, obviously it lowers a little bit, but not to the point where AI is going to be wrong 50% of the time. But in that 1% case where the AI is wrong, a patient could die. So in this area, AI has to be basically perfect. So because of that, people don't really trust it because there is that chance that AI might be wrong.
How does its accuracy in these studies compare to the accuracy of humans who do this?
Well,
I'm assuming humans make mistakes in this
yes, they do,
context.
especially with the rise of breast cancer. As our population grows, so does the breast cancer incidence. So with this, we need more radiologists because radiologists have to work overtime. And once they do that, they start making more mistakes called fatigue error.
Oh, yeah.
And this could be pretty detrimental to patient safety. And essentially what we want to do is bring in AI to act as a double checker so a radiologist could move on to more serious cases. But because of the whole trust issue, radiologists don't really trust AI that much. And another big issue is regulations for AI. Because this is such a new topic, FDA may have approved it in some cases, but there still aren't laws for it. So if AI does make a mistake, then the radiologist reviewing the AI is going to be the one that suffers, and they may lose their medical license in the end.
There's two things you brought up that I think are extremely important. It's the fatigue error. You're dealing with a human being who, like, our brains cannot operate at a level of like 100% accuracy and precision at all times. Like there's a cognitive cost there. But you're also bringing up like who is culpable in the case that there is a misdiagnosis if now there is a machine involved? Is it the people who code for it? And I guess this is popping up in similar contexts like self-driving cars.
Yeah, Waymo in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like with Waymo, it's a little bit different because while it does have to drive people around like an Uber does, I feel like the margin of error is not as serious because here people's lives are at stake. It's a AI detecting if a patient is going to basically live or die, and for Waymo, it delivers a person from point A to point B. So I feel like...
But it could kill a person.
It could potentially, yeah.
Yeah, while delivering from point A or point B.
Yeah, but I feel like with Waymo, it's a lot more established in that area than AI is.
Yeah, I'm sure that's valid. There's just been more time and resources dedicated in that context, whereas the context, it seems like you're exploring, is not there quite yet.
Yeah, I feel like it's very new, and people don't really know what direction this is going to go to currently because there's just so much margin of error where AI could make a mistake. And especially with people too, people have to decide if they want AI to treat them or if they want an actual human being to be responsible for their treatment plan.
Do any of your sources project where this is going in terms of accuracy or adoption in the next decade or so?
Well, with accuracy, the sensitivity thresholds could be switched up for AI, so AI could filter a lot more false positives where it would say that a cancer is there, but it actually isn't, which is safer for the person because a radiologist would just double check it, which is a lot better than a false negative where AI would just fully miss an actual cancer, which can potentially kill a person.
That seems like the worst possible
Exactly.
scenario.
So what radiologists and research scientists are doing is that they're making the sensitivity threshold so high that AI kind of filters everything as a cancer, but then obviously that creates more search error for the radiologists to do because now they just have to filter all the mammograms by themselves. So I feel like if in the next decade we can find that sort of sweet spot where AI detects most of the cancers, but maybe once in 100,000 cases it may let a false negative slide, then that may be the best outcome for us. Because I feel like radiologists also, they are capable of making a mistake even with a double and triple checker. So I feel like in healthcare that's kind of just inevitable. But with projections, I feel like if there are some sort of federal laws that really say who is to blame if this mistake happens, then people are going to trust AI more. And especially if AI gives some sort of understanding of how it came to the conclusion. Because right now, how AI detects the cancer is it just says if a cancer is there or not. And it doesn't really have any heat maps of saying where the cancer is or how it came to that conclusion. And because of that, that's where the major trust gap emerges.
Would it be, I don't know if this is going to resolve the issues that you're talking about, but would it be almost analogous to if it could annotate, I don't know if it does this, does it annotate the image of the mammogram and be like, this is what I'm seeing, this is consistent with, and kind of describe it that way, or does it just spit out language? Like, does it do an image annotation followed with the justification, or?
I'm pretty sure that for some models, I have seen images where AI has like an arrow on the image of where the cancer
And
is
it
there, or
denotes
like
what
some
it's
sort
doing.
of area of questionable tumor or questionable skin fold where the AI thinks the cancer might be. So a radiologist checks over that part.
Are these studies using ChatGPT and Claude and Grok, or are they using specialized AI that is targeted toward like cancer imagery and like something like that?
What's actually interesting about that question, and I'm glad you asked it, is that
I'm glad I asked it too.
in the studies, these researchers actually make their own systems because they want those systems to be the ones regulated by all hospitals, so they could, become famous and have that.
So these
AI
are homegrown
system.
systems.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So for your inclusion criteria of the studies you looked at, no major, I guess, brands of AI were used. These were developed in-house at a hospital or a research facility, like mainly for just cancer use.
Yeah, I was trying to find studies that focused mostly on just the breast cancer detection and not studies that also focused on lung tumors or brain cancers, just like mammograms by itself and without everything else.
So you would not recommend to our audience just taking pictures from like an MRI or a mammogram and just uploading them into ChatGPT?
I would really hope they wouldn't do that.
I'm sure someone has. I'm sure someone has at this point just because of the endless options one has in AI.
Yeah, and maybe that one time AI was right, but the other 4 times it could have been wrong, and then that's why we should always refer to a doctor.
But you brought up there is a projected shortage of radiologists as well.
By 2040, there is going to be around 3 million new cases detected annually for breast cancer. So that's more than what it is today. So in, 14 years?
And in 14 years, I feel like that's, I know this is, and again, this is just my opinion, but I feel like this is creating an issue where you're going to need more people to help support this healthcare crisis. And instead of getting people, you're probably going to get less people than you would ideally want, and then machines will be inserted in some way to fill that gap.
I think so. That is probably what's going to happen.
All right, so in 2040, I'm just trying to do some. Okay, so I'm gonna be older. Hopefully, I'll be retired by that point. I guess that's something I have to grapple with. Is my healthcare already? We were talking about this before we were recording, but the healthcare industry is incorporating AI into decision making about claims. And if things keep going the way that your work is going, there's going to be these shortfalls in terms of the actual human power to pull something off. So then machines are going to be inserted into that process.
I feel like that's not such a bad thing, though. If utilized safely, then AI could act as a safety net to just make sure that radiologists don't make fatigue errors. And then if AI works like that, then patients are going to be getting better treatment options and radiologists aren't going to be as fatigued. So just having AI as the only radiologist probably isn't going to be the best idea. But then if it augments radiologists, that's kind of what my paper was concluding, that is the best option currently.
It's so weird that you bring that up, the fatigue part, because I was just thinking before you said it, I was thinking about myself and as a teacher, like where do I see, or what time of day do I see myself most typically using AI? And I feel like it happens early in the morning when I'm just like kind of getting ready, and then I use it toward the end of the day when I'm feeling tired. The middle of the day is probably the least likely zone that I'm in to use AI because now that I'm being reflective about it, I'm probably using it in a fatigue. Like it's almost like subconsciously I'm using it in a fatigue error kind of way where I'm like, look, I could like read this paper, but I know I'm not in the right headspace for it. So let me get like a shotgun blast of what's going on in the paper. And then I can sort of like go in with the scalpel and kind of see what's going on to sort of save my mental energy.
I agree. Sometimes we just get so tired. It's like we're looking at a paper and nothing is flowing to the brains, just words.
It's just words, yeah. So it's like almost like AI, even a little bit of AI integration could be like a spark where it's like, all right, I've just saved myself a little bit of the work in terms of making sense of this gobbledygook. Now I have an idea.
Yeah.
Let me go in. That poses all sorts of other problems in terms of confirmation bias, because now you're letting the AI dictate what it is that you see. Like, you have to be open to something deviating from what you expected.
Also, radiologists might not be as skilled with the AI because they would over-rely on it. So that's another issue.
I agree. I mean, I've been doing this job for 20 years. If I had AI early on, I feel like I wouldn't have made some valuable mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
That really taught me, they taught me hard lessons, but they taught me lessons, and I was like, you know what, I got to be mindful of those things. And you develop a sense of intuition. It would be almost like if you go into oncology and your program's like, you cannot use AI at all for the first 5 years of being an oncologist. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of decisions that you would primarily own. And then after that, you can sort of like fill in the gaps and be like, okay, like, I know what to look out for. I've learned from my mistakes. I'm going to use AI to help supplant what I'm doing. But I know what I'm doing because I've done this alone. Well, I guess alone.
Yeah.
Without the AI support. Is that what's sort of reflected in the studies you were mentioning, that the trust levels were different between the more experienced individuals, and then it was like the radiologist with 3 or less years experience?
Yeah, the radiologists with less experience, they would kind of just use AI as a support tool because they aren't that experienced, so AI could potentially help them. But then the radiologists of 20 plus years, they would see AI as something that would kind of be like not as helpful for them because they are pretty skilled at detecting the cancer by themselves.
All right, I'm going to close with this because we only got a few minutes. Oh my gosh, we only have 2 minutes. What would, if you want to go into oncology,
probably,
what would guardrails for AI use look like? Let's say you're in medical school and like your medical school has strict guidelines in place for how AI can or can't be used. What do you feel like is a hard, like, you can't use it this way if you're in medical school?
I feel like you can't use AI to fully just answer the problem that you're looking for, so you can't just ask AI to
diagnose this patient.
Exactly. I feel like that's very counterproductive to what you're trying to do, because essentially in medical school you are trying to better yourself as a doctor, so AI could potentially harm that.
As a person who helps heal people.
Yeah.
All right. Any closing words you want to say before we end this?
I think if you like independent research, you should definitely join AP Research.
Boom. There you go. Thank you for your time, Polina. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right.